I've ridden motorcycle events for over 30 years, so I think it's about time I create my own. An event that celebrates the finer things I love about off-road motorcycling. I reckon I have the right elements to attract the right people. Like my mate, Grabham, he's an off-road legend. Turns out I own a legend too. My beloved Warhorse. A 1992 XRV 750 Africa Twin. We wouldn't need much else. Piece together a team, knock up a spectacle arena, then see who rocks up. We could coach a few people too. Yep, just as suspected. Real-world people with a true passion for riding and travelling on their bike. I like meeting riders who have the same appreciation for motorcycles as I do. And I feel honoured that some have arrived early and are entrusting Grabbo and I to impart our experience on them. So I guess it's down to business now. Jump on your bikes, lads, and we'll knock you into shape a bit. We'll help you fit your machine better.
Well, we can dial a bit of that out.
And where necessary, deliver some hard truths.
Because these things are notoriously twitchy.
Yeah mate, ABS off-road is dangerous, but don't worry, we can sort that out for you. No guys, this will not be a sugar-coated experience.
And you will go down on the grass.
But we're going to guide you through the day step by step and help you become more capable riders. Okay lads, hit the trail. And watch out for those trees. Looking good mate, looking real good. Now we'd like to welcome you all to the arena. Grabbo and I will do some endurocross demos and spin some campfire yarns.
Has anyone here been to Finke? Put your hand up if you've been to Finke. Finke's a vibe, isn't it? There's something about Finke that just isn't quite the same anywhere else you go, isn't it?
I obviously heard about Finke, and for anyone who doesn't know me, growing up I did a lot of high-speed stuff, so flat track and speedway and supermoto and all that shit, so growing up, I considered myself quite comfortable at going fast. So Finke, it's the fastest one I know in Australia, so let's head up there. There's guys basically wearing flenos on KX 500s and CR 500s throwing roost in my face, and I back off for 1 second and they just blow past them before I know it, they're a K ahead, and it's like you're driving this road that other people know and you're rushing along and feel like you're going fast, and there's just what I class as hillbillies from Alice Springs make you eat dust, but I still had a good run. I thought I was super fast, super fit and everything, got top 5 and went to presentation. It was the biggest thing I'd ever seen in Australia. We're at the casino and there's thousands of people there and just huge, and it was just one of those moments where I was just sitting there and thought, if I'm ever going to win any more big races, I'd love it to be this one. So that's what fueled, I think, the hunger for Finke, and my introduction to Finke. I was riding for Team Honda. Next year went up there, same thing, thought I was still a gun, everything, didn't do things much different. Finished 3rd, still had the bug for it, but was just amazed by these guys that were still beating me by 10 minutes each way and stuff like that. And then I just made the decision late that year, was even though I was on a race team, that they don't hand everything to you, so I'm like, I'm going to fund myself to go up there, to learn the track and learn how to do this shit. And if I can't do it, I'll be happy because I've tried and So Honda got me a 450X, which was around then. I bought myself a 25-litre fuel tank, found a mate's place to stay at, and I went up there. And back then, the track was quite gnarly. It was whoops and shit all the way. I went there, no sap foam, nothing, just... I knew that I could ride down to Finke. They had their so-called non-sniffable fuel down there and fuel up and ride back, and I did that, which, was supposedly hardcore at the time for like 5 days straight, so I could learn every bump and learn how to ride the desert and stuff like that. And I'm all about training and like not making excuses about bikes, but I'm also, if I can make a bike better or something to do it easier, I will as well. So I did that week's pre-run and went back for the race, and done a few little things different, knew the track, and before I knew it, I was winning the race, and got me I was always confident in myself, as in learning and doing new things, but that's what gave me confidence at that place, and the rest is history. Like, I won, I think, 4 Finks up there, and I don't even know, maybe 4 or 5 as a team manager, and I still go back there these days and run around and have a lot of fun.
I think one of the big things about sort of hearing something like that is putting yourself out of your comfort zone, trying something new, and you were aware that obviously if it didn't go to plan, you were still going to be happy in the fact that you had a crack at it. And I think that kind of comes in really nicely to sort of switching tack and having a chat to you, because that is one thing that I think really sort of typifies the way you go about these, I'm not even going to call them trips, because they're experiences where you almost pick something that seems so totally unattainable and unachievable, and somehow you just manage to pluck it out of thin air. And you're taking yourself out of your comfort zone and really sort of redefining what adventure really is, aren't you?
I think I gained a lot of confidence, not just in my riding ability, but in my approach to ideas, just through being exposed to the work ethic of these boys, not just Ben, but his competition. Because this whole period, I had left Western Australia and I was there already basically friends with Benny, and was spending a lot more time together because I wanted to race and be as good as I could be, but I was burning the candle at both ends. He was at the events because he's a factory racer on a team. I was there as a journalist, but I had access to bikes and just wanted to write the stories from the seat of the bike. And I was basically riding with, training with, and exposed to the determination and the methods and the discipline and the training. And I'd see the planning, I'd see the execution, I'd see the formula that Ben and other racers were using to reach their goals. And it wasn't just Fink. It was such a full-on time, because if he was going to the 4-day, he was going there to win it. If he was going to Fink, he was going there to win it. If he was going to the AORC, he was going there to win it. And we were sort of moving as a group because of my, position in the media and capturing everything and seeing the story before the result. Their work ethic rubbed off on me. I've always been a person of impossible ideas and don't tell me no, because I'll find a way, whether I can afford it or whether you can even do it, whether you're allowed to do it. And once I put that into practice, they kind of got quite crazy. And Moto Nomad, which is probably one that was just an impossible goal, incidentally stemming from doing this ride with my dad in the Himalayas, and the only way I was able to justify doing it was to try and make some money out of it. At the time I was a freelance journalist for Dirt Action, and my way of making money back then was to make sure I was at the big events and getting the photos and getting the stories. And off track a bit, but Dad was like, right, we're going to India this year. And remember, it's 2012, and he goes, we're going in June. And I thought, I can't go then. That's Fink time. That's when Fink's on. That was my whole world then, was just following the races. If I couldn't race them myself, I was capturing them. Anyway, I said, all right, Dad, we'll go. I'll just turn it into a story. I'm working for the magazine. And this all ran its course, but it went from just backpacking with Dad to, just spend time with him to, all right, we're hiring bikes. I need to make a story. My whole vision shifted, and next thing I know, I'm making a movie with my dad, a video. I was a YouTuber then, but not to what it is now. Some of you may have seen Himalayan Hero, At the end of that, it was inspiration to go, okay, I want to do this properly. I want to do it with a mate that can ride. And I have mentioned this story before, but this impossible idea and bringing it to life, it really was the confidence in, okay, if I can get bikes from a particular country, map out a bit of a route, I'll start there and I'll ride to here and I'll film it.
and that ignorant, basically. Who's seen Moto Nomad? Anyway, you've seen how that all played out, but we were riding pretty hard, as we sort of always have for the filming and the distances and all the rest, but it's always been a goal to capture dirt bikes in front of epic scenes, and I think that's formed the sort of signature. And it's this landscape that I was exposed to for so long, and honestly the majority of it was racing. You know, if Ben was there, he had the pressure of winning the bloody thing. I was there to race and try and ride and just be somewhere, you know, up there, but I had to come out of it with content and a story. I had to come back with photos or video or something to work with after. And shit, we did this for years. And it's funny because when it all sort of was tapering off for me in the magazine stuff, I was at a point there where it was hard to get work, and I was at a bit of a crossroads. And I will say it's only because I had access to guys like Ben and you know, Hollis and Glenn Carney and Toby and this crew. It really was an epic era of racing that I'm very grateful I was a part of, and to be able to witness the careers of a lot of who are my friends achieved so much in racing, but it helped forge my creative side into a pretty hardcore off-road, I don't know, cinematic capture. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the very first Warhorse Muster, proudly presented by Motology, and of course with our special guest, Ben Grabham. Guys, please put your hands together. Thanks for coming out so far. It's awesome to have you here.
This is the first of big things to come. Last year, when who watched the Warhorse series across Australia? So Grabo and I, here he is. Grabo and I were sitting in the Flinders Ranges, having a few rums around the campfire, and we just started talking about the old bikes and the people and what we're doing and how much of an impact this bike has made on not just the Australian adventure bike community but the global community. And we just got thinking we should knock something together. And here you are. This is what we've knocked together.
Dirt bikes in remote locations, cinematic locations. Grabo, that kind of leads us into Dakar. Now, talk to me about Dakar. Run me through that first time.
Dakar for me was an interesting one. Like, I was at the height of my game, winning everything, and I hit a kangaroo in 2012 at the Condo 750 Rally. Broke my back pretty bad, broke my collarbone, my arm, nearly bit my tongue off, punched my lung. All the hoo-ah that went with it. Spent, I don't know, a month or two in hospital. Probably possibly one of the only people from the motorcycle industry that took time out to come and visit me was one and only Adam, and he got photos and pictures and stories and cool shit from it. And at that point, I had a 2-year deal to go to Dakar, and obviously you're laying in hospital. Grateful to not be paralysed, and thinking, oh, whatever, Dakar's gone, I'll just be happy if I walk again and stuff like that. We went through basically being told that the whole spine was going to be fused the whole way through, which, fine, whatever, I'll be walking, but I wouldn't be twisting or moving or anything like that. Got moved to Brisbane. Obviously it pays to have good friends and good circles and smart people and stuff like that. Got fixed. Typical bike racer. I think I was walking out of the hospital and thinking, hey, we might be on again one day riding. So I actually rode the 4-day in Victoria that year, and a lot of good sponsors I had around me stood by me. And
top 10 on a fairly stock 350 EXL, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. And then before we knew it, we're in South America. I think going back a little bit, I wouldn't say I was precious or whatever, but I just didn't like a lot of different overseas cultures and living different and stuff like that. I've obviously evolved a lot since then and learnt stuff off Riemann and bits and pieces, but we went over there and I wouldn't say I was super comfortable with things like that, but just we done Dakar, finished, got 13th, coming off a broken back only 8 months earlier, and it was, I don't know, Dakar's cool. I'm not someone that's going to sit here and say it's the greatest thing in the world. Like it's obviously changed and evolved. Like I would love to go back to early Dakar days and in Africa and fully suffer and be trying to avoid food poisoning and survive and no support crew and all stuff like that, riding the old Warhorse. That would be me and my element these days. But it's more, like, I don't want to put it down, but it's more of a flashy TV show these days to what it used to be. But I got to do it, finished it, had some great Aussie supporters and people around me, and I got to tell people that I've experienced Dakar and know what it's all about.
For you, in your time riding, when did you feel like you were the most remote, the most removed from humanity? Where was it and when was it? And this is, I can see the cogs are turning on this one.
It's here. It's Australia, because I've been in the middle of the Gobi Desert in Mongolia. I've been in the Atacama Desert in Chile, Lesotho Kingdom in South Africa. All these places are around the world. Sure, there's other places further north if you get into Siberia and up there, but from what I have been able to ride myself into, a lot of these places you can be out there in the world and you think, wow, this is remote. This is we've been on the gas for a while now and not seeing anything, and the track's getting thinner and thinner, and you're on the side of a mountain and all you can see is the same track that just goes to the horizon, and then a kid will just appear out of the hill and he's walking his goats past and you don't feel all that remote anymore. And this is the thing. There's a lot of, I guess, mystery, misconception, probably fear about being in certain countries. I know when we went back to the Moto Nomad story, ignorantly just fumbling our way through the Middle East at a time when the terrorism was at peak in Syria, you soon realise that the media are pitching one version, and then when you're there on the ground and you're surrounded by the guns and the tanks and all of that stuff, you realise they don't like it either. Not everyone's out to kill you, and I've been in some fairly remote deserts in Egypt and been welcomed by people that will give you everything that they have for the night. They want to make sure that you're going to eat, that even I remember we were at this little, it was just out in the Sinai. It was Badlands for political reasons, but there's people living there and going about their lives. And these two Aussies, this is my friend Mark Portbury that came and did this trip with me. And you get up into these places and the so-called image of terrorism, and then you're looking at that media portrayed image, and the next thing they're outlaying the biggest traditional dish and pulling you in on. They can't really say that much. You don't know what they're saying, but food is the international language, you know. And our bikes are over there, and they've got this old blanket, and they've covered the bikes, and they just start scooping with their hands and passing you the bread, and a big fucking shisha goes into the middle, and they pass you a pipe, and no one's trying to cut your head off. They're trying to make sure that you are, you know, comfortable, and you think they want you to leave with a very warm image of them, you know. And the whole remoteness thing, the question you asked, I don't know why it just led to that, because some of the most remote places I think of out in the world, these are always the sort of scenarios that happen. But in Australia, nothing happens. No one's coming.
I feel like that's a terrible indictment on our nation.
There's a lot of fuck all out there. No, seriously. And if you really want to feel that, this is the country to do it. Because a kid's not going to walk out of the bush with his goat. You're not going to come across a little Bedouin camp. Even, and again, this is a subject that can't even be really talked about, but unfortunately the native communities aren't what they once were, and you will inevitably pass through them, and you can't be out there unless you pass through them because they've got the fuel, and you're not going to get welcomed in for a traditional feast and an experience of the culture. Not where I've been. I'm sure I would like to think there are still places in the north where that could happen, but yeah, we've got it here, man. We've got to just hop on your bike and go disappear remote and see no one and nothing. I think Australia, for me so far, of all the shit that I've done, it takes the cake.
Grabbo, you've done the riding, you've done the racing, you've met so many people, you've affected and influenced a lot of people in the motorcycling world. So I reckon you're probably fairly well qualified to help us define it. What's it mean to go on an adventure? To you, what is adventure?
Tricky question, good question. For me, with everything, especially over the last few years, it's venturing out into like the unknown, as in land I don't know, and then challenging myself. When I say challenging myself, I'm not doing anything too stupid. I'm not trying to jump an adventure bike over a log and shit here in front of you, stuff like that.
You mean like what you did?
Yeah, unfortunately,
okay.
I was peer pressured.
I'll shut up.
But it's in all honesty, it's like I done last year of Adam. It's I hadn't done it before. I hadn't lived off a adventure bike before. I'd rode bikes my whole life. I'd rode adventure bikes on plenty of KTM rallies from pub to pub, all that kind of crap. It's exactly what we done there last year. We left Alice Springs. We headed out into what was the unknown for me. I got some guidance off guys like Adam about what I needed to survive and get through and head out on an adventure like that. And there was times when I'm slightly uncomfortable, which is I think what it's all about. And then there's just moments of pure bliss when you find your rhythm and you're in your element of just being out there and just enjoying what's out there that you've never seen before. And to me that's the trip that defines what you just said.
All right, same question, Adam, and I think that's where once you've given us your definition of adventure, then we're going to throw out the wireless mic and we're going to get a couple of questions. So to you, what is adventure?
A lot of it's been, for me, has been driven by the career path. So my adventures are almost forced now. I have to go on an adventure so I can get paid. That's ridiculous.
How fucking terrible is that?
Can you believe it? Can you believe it's come to this? I mean, really, but it sort of has. And I guess the adventure for me is exactly that. It's having a bit of a vision of a destination, a distance to cover in a place, a time limit, how you're going to go about it. And even though it's the unknown. The adventure is what the physical ride is compared to what you've dreamt up. And everything, you know, we all have that anticipation and that expectation of like, well, I've got to put 500 Ks in today down that road, and there's going to be square edges and dust, and is the fuel going to be there, and have I got enough water, and did I get enough food, and oh, my fucking fork seal's leaking and shit, and there's just so many things, and you just, oh, we'll just motor down that road anyway. How it measures up to the reality defines the adventure, and if it's so far from what you had spinning around in your head, then the adventure element just kind of goes off the charts for some rides, whereas other ones are more like, I'm just doing everything I wanted to do. So the real adventures are the ones where, even though you're hitting these destinations and seeing the things you expected to see, the adventure's defined by all the shit that happened along the way. Some people, because they let all that spin around in their head, it's what stops them from even going on an adventure. And you should treat it the other way. That should be a reason to go, just to get out there and deal with it as it's happening.
All right, Rick's riding the Yamaha Tenere XT660Z. Bit of a novice, can't turn left at a stop sign, so I thought I'd get involved here, which has been fun. For this event here, thanks very much for organising it. It's been fantastic. Your plans for the next one, where are you thinking, where are you going to go? How many people you want to bring in?
It'll be right here. And the enduro cross track will probably be twice the size. The crowd should be 10 times bigger. And we'll just do it all again.
Yeah, my name's Graham. I'm riding a Tenere
There you go, yeah.
sorry,
T7.
T7. Yeah. I guess a question for Adam really. What's your favourite place you've actually been to?
Nothing comes to the top of my head because there's places that I'll never go to again because of the situations that unfold, and I do often see places that I go, I want to bring the girls back here. I want to bring my family here. And they're places you wouldn't expect. I did a KTM rally in Bosnia, 2019. And I'm walking through Sarajevo. They've just lived war. Beautiful people, beautiful food, beautiful atmosphere. Walking through the city with all the KTM crew and just, wow, look at this. I'm in Bosnia, I'm in Sarajevo, and there's these beautiful buildings and banks and culture and everything, and they're just littered with bullet holes, and there's lead, and it's you cannot comprehend what these people have been through. And then just the experience of being there, I'm thinking, they are just so happy to see the sunrise and just come out and sweep their driveway and eat their food, and their life is so much simpler than ours, and all the shit we're worried about and freaking out about. They've been to hell and back, and it really gives an overall appreciation of just life itself. And when you pass through these places, you're sort of drawn back to them, not for the epic ride. The riding's amazing, and the exposure to these different ways of life, but I don't know why. I guess that just came to mind. I had a really awesome experience there with the KTM factory. That was one of the events I was lucky enough to be invited to, and it wasn't some grand adventure like I've done a lot now, but I don't know. It was just an answer to give you, really, because I don't really have one, and there's a lot of them. But I could sit here all night saying, and this joint, and you got to go to this country, and you got to see this. Okay. The most recent, Italy, on the Trans Euro Trail for riding. If you're talking about riding, it's such a broad question. For the riding, for the people, for the food, there's so many levels to it. But yeah, that I've been banking like a list, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like, I wish I could just hurry up and get loaded off this YouTube thing and just take my family around the world and go to all the places that I've seen on my adventure bike or missions. And yeah.
Here we go. Grabbo. It's Richard riding a 690 here this weekend. Tell us about your most scariest or sketchiest moment on a dirt bike. Finke, Australian Safari. Tell us about one of them.
In Australian Safari there one year, I remember coming over a hill and just had this gut feeling, I don't know why, to hang to the right. And I went over the hill and there was the farmer in his Land Cruiser coming the other way, and I was doing like 160 and pretty much skimmed past his mirror, and he last minute decided to go out there and didn't want us racing through his property anymore. So shit like that, when I look back now, gives me chills. Otherwise, yeah, that's it, to be honest. Like I don't know. I think I get scared for other people more than I do myself. Like that's, I don't know, a little bit why I do the coaching and stuff like that, because riding, racing, everything can be the most amazing experience of your life, and it can also be the end of your life, basically. So that's why I try to help people and let them enjoy it like we can and get out there and have fun.
My question is actually to both of you. What is the best thing that any adventure bike rider can actually spend their hard-earned on to make themselves a better rider?
Off-road tyres. It's an insurance policy, and you might just start to get an idea of how your bike actually works off-road, because they're completely limited by the tyres that are on them in the shop 90% of the time.
I'm not a very good salesman, but for me, it would be a ride like this. The reason being is, and it's how I've lived my life and got the knowledge and everything I have, is I like to surround myself with people who know, or I believe know, or you look at the results or what they're doing and stuff like that. So like, if I was an adventurer, I'd look at someone like Riemann. I'd come here and I'd pick his fucking brains on everything I could and try and learn as much as I can. So an event like this, to me, is priceless. There's countless guys out here that know just as much as I do about adventure riding. So I'd be walking around and picking everyone's brains and learning everything I could.
It's actually a question for you, Grabbo. So you've got a really storied racing career. Obviously, you burst onto the scene. We'd heard your name, dirt track, junior speedway. You won the 6 days as a 16-year-old on an XR250. Everything else. What's the highlight of your racing career?
I don't know. I'm a very different character, as in sometimes I look like people would think I've got things planned and shit like that, which a lot of times I don't. I just don't seem to settle on results and bits and pieces and that. Like, there's so many. The ones you're saying at 6 days, they all give me chills and make me happy and things like that. And like someone, Safari wins. There's so many different things, but I don't know. I just never seem to settle for that. Like in November, I'm off to Baja with David Walsh for a KTM Baja 1000 team, and yeah, I don't know. I just, to be honest, things like this, events, and that's just making memorable moments. It sounds cliche and stuff like that, but I don't have one event that stands out. I'm grateful to be able to stay in a sport like this, and it's not all roses. It's the same as Adam here. Like, people, they see this now, but there's plenty of hard, shitty times and stuff like that. Same as other people we're working at, but I don't know. We're both stubborn bastards and have been told no plenty of times, seen the dead end plenty of times, and just kept digging to move forward. And I think that's what makes it possible for us to keep doing stuff like this. And I don't know, like I know I'm not getting any younger, but also, who knows, I would love to win Baja 1000, and I could say to you that could be the best win at the time. So I don't know, I think it's just ticking off boxes, just seeing a challenge, and whether it's Speedway, whether it's Finke, whether it's Safari, there's none of them that stand higher than each other. It's a nice feeling knowing that hard work and dedication and learning new skills and stuff like that has paid off in certain areas.
I've got a question for both of you, but I'm only really sort of exposed to Adams. But do you guys actually, what we see is a very compressed view of what you guys do with filming, etc. Do you take the time to actually enjoy where you are at the time? And if not, do you think that's ever going to be your goal?
On our trip that we just did, Warhorse, Norden last year when Benny joined me, it was a little bit of a wake-up call for me to just see how much Benny enjoyed it. Like he's lived this life of the pressure of racing Finke and winning it, and the route that we chose to take from Alice when we picked up the bike was down alongside the Finke track and beyond. And he'd spent a decade of his racing career riding the bejesus out of that 250k strip, back and forth, and then we did this adventure ride past it, down the Finke River and onward with no one else, just the two of us, our camping gear, and as Benny said, it was his first time he'd ever lived on a bike, and he knows what we do. He's seen my whole career and the cameras, and I've always relied on pro riders to come with me and get it done, because I know the riding part's never going to be an issue. But what really inspired me to try and absorb it all a bit more was just how stoked. I was for a minute there worried he'd be bored, but it was the opposite. I'd be setting up cameras and doing things and getting ready and worried about the drone and all this shit, and he'd be over there with his phone like a tourist, just clicking, touristy shit. And it was Ben doing it, and I thought, he's fucking having a great time. And it made me realise, like, yeah, I want to do that too. I think I alluded to it a bit before, but it's just, don't get me wrong, I love it. I love this. I love working with guys like Leighton. I love knocking all this shit up and creating the colour, but I'm getting to do it with good people. So seeing you boys during, everyone was scattered everywhere in their own little space with their chairs and their dinner and the sun setting and the tunes are going and just taking it in. And I do have moments of that, short little moments. Cameras off, tent set up, screw the audience, I want this. And it's not very long, because I'm back in the tent, downloading GoPro footage, charging the drone, off a little card, off the motorbike. Is it all going to come together? I've got to get this. It's work. It's definitely work, but it's the best job in the world. So I'll just cop the fact I don't get to do it and take it all in. Like in time, I'd like to be able to focus more on that than the work side, but I'm very passionate about the work, so that sort of justifies the grind at times.
For me, it's slightly different. Like, as a racer, no, not at all. I didn't. I was just that result driven that, like, I've been to, 7 or 8, 9 different international 6 days in all different countries overseas, and I took no interest, no time to look around or enjoy the culture or anything like that. I was just, I'm there to do a job and everything. So early days, no. I don't know if it's getting older or what it is, but yes, these days I do. Like, I love what I do. Like I said before, it's not all roses. We'll spend hours and hours and hours in vans and working on bikes and bits and pieces behind the scenes. Like, social media makes everything look all pretty and flashy, and but I do enjoy what I do. Like, I know what I'm doing, but I also appreciate moments like this. And like, I know I'm sitting up here talking, but if I had my choice, I'd be one of you sitting amongst you, drinking and listening to someone else talk. That's my style. But also I appreciate being able to sit here and tell stories and take in moments like this and remember them forever.
Adam, I think probably a lot of people that are here, definitely myself with YouTube, you're a fantastic storyteller, and that obviously comes from your documentary background and work there, and I think that's what comes across. And you touched on it a little bit a moment ago, but if you had unlimited funds and budgets and time, is there a story you would want to tell, and do you have any major projects that are in your brain that you would like to see happen in the future?
I think I could only answer that once I'm in that position. At the moment, my girls are a big priority, and it's made me just put a cap on the projects. What I do is funding the life I'm making for my girls, but I'm just choosing to shorten the window a bit, and that's defining what the projects are. So if the day comes that YouTube adds another 0 to the end of my revenue, it'll be like, rightio, now we can really make some content. Benny knows how we do it. Everyone thinks there's a film crew. But it's...
I think you should touch on it a bit more, because I heard a few of the boys here tonight asking that about film crew and stuff like that.
Have the idea, have the concept, get to the country, get the bike, hit all these landscapes, get there. Don't crash, don't cartwheel. A, you're in a foreign country. B, you don't have a movie. There's a lot to it, and I think, again, it all comes back to that calculation of what's achievable. Just backing up what you've said you're going to do, and that's very important to me. If I propose something, then I've always chosen to try and go over and above.
I'll add to a lot of that is when we do go out to make something like that ride. Now, what people don't see is there is no film crew. It's I don't know, that's a piss poor effort of your backpack, because normally it's a lot bigger than that. Yeah, so normally has a big ass backpack. My backpack's full of like beef jerky and pasta and food and everything
Spirits.
like that. Yeah, whatever. And he's got camera gear. And we'll be doing sections where we're sitting on 160 and he's got his remote control pad sitting on the dash of the Warhorse. The drone's flying ahead, the cameras are set up, and it just blows me away every time, because we're doing these rides and we're getting like that many different clips and audio and bits and pieces that it makes no effing sense to me whatsoever. But he doesn't give himself enough credit for what you all see as a final product is next level. Like, I've been with Harley and then where they've had big budgets and we've had 5 or 6 people out there, vehicles, film crews, everything, cameras. He's doing it out of a backpack, and we're literally still doing up to 1,000 Ks a day. Like I said, flying drones while we're racing along, all this kind of crap, and it's pretty damn impressive.
All right, to close us out, I'm going to invite Jeff Edwards, our landowner, to come on up, and he's got a couple of words to say, but he's also got a question. One question, all right? Say your piece, mate.
I don't think I have any questions, Jamie. I think they've all been answered. I just want to say, when Adam first came to me about having this event, I wasn't surprised. Somehow, you know, we've all transitioned from motocross to enduros and then into the adventure bike thing. I just had a feeling, and when he came up with the idea, I was really overwhelmed. And then when he said Ben Grabham was coming, I was totally overwhelmed. I'd never met Ben, and I thought, crikey, we've got 2 legends right here. The standout for me is you guys and ladies, the appreciation, you know, of coming out here to our farm, and what I saw today. I reckon you guys are the legends. I mean, these guys are good, but we've got a whole group of people that from all different, you know, scenarios. So it's just, I think you really got to appreciate how bloody cool this is. yeah, it's probably. I think I'll leave it at that, but absolutely fantastic. Thanks, Joe, mate.
Thanks, Jeff. Guys and girls, thank you so much. This has been an evening with Adam Riemann and Ben Grabham. My name's J-Mac. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night, guys.
Nailed it, mate. Good to have you on board.
Yeah, we're on there.
What's about to go down? We're about to light up the Warhorse. Just to seal the deal on the first muster. We might have to stand in front of it and hold it. Everyone's kind of looking a little bit curious. People are just like, what's going on? But they're not moving. They don't know yet. No, because they're just looking.
Oh, we took an indicator off.
Oh, shit.
I'll do a tire change.